Hello everyone and welcome back to my Flosstube. I'm Emma, the channel is Emma Rose Makes. I'm gender fluid, I use the pronouns M or Emma, and here we are with some more sewing that I've been doing over the last few weeks. So let's start with the massive quilt top I've got behind me. So this is a charm pack that I made into this set of different squares and then put together using a tutorial from Just Get It Done Quilts on YouTube. So they have a whole load of different blocks you can make with a charm pack. Not a charm pack, a layer cake, 10-inch squares. You get 10-inch squares of fabric and it has like lots of fabrics from the same line. And then I made lots of different squares, which was really good practice actually, to try and make lots of different things. And then I put it together into this. And this now just needs a border. I'm pointing with this hand because it's not there, it's here. It needs a border. And I think I'm going to put like a thin black border and then a thicker border of this blue here with the houses. Then it will be done. And I think I'm going to send it off to a long armour to quilt it for me because I don't fancy quilting it. Not that my free motion quilting skills are not quite there yet, and I just I figure someone else will do a better job on a long arm than I will right this moment in time. Obviously, I need to practice my free motion quilting skills, otherwise I'll never get there. The other thing I could do is I've got a walking foot now, so I could just do stripes, like up and down stripes on it to quilt it, which I'm considering just to get the practice of moving a quilt this big through a machine. So yeah. That is that. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to keep it there throughout the video, so hopefully it's not too bold and distracting for you. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. I know it's not in focus, but I can't make it be in focus without literally like leaving the shot. So yeah, it's lots of different. There's pumpkins. There are little haunted houses. There are bats, which you can't see in these bits of fabric here. There are ghosts up in these bits. It's a really cute charm pack, and the fabric was designed by Cotton and Steel. And yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how it's turned out. So that was the big thing I've been doing. Kind of like on a lunch break, in an hour I can kind of cut one block set and then sew it, which is really satisfying. And it's good. It's good fun actually. It's been very, very soothing because it is still ridiculously busy at work, in life. So yeah, and I'm swapping over. Been on one long-term migraine med for a very long time, and I'm swapping over to a new one. So I'm like in the midst of decreasing my dose slowly off it. So yeah, it's been quite nice to have something to focus on, which was this. So yeah, where should we go next? So the last thing you will have seen if you've been watching everything on my channel, which you may not have done because you don't need to, is my whip parade. And I mentioned that I got the Food and Fibre Company Yule Ball, not Harry Potter Yule Ball, just a ball based around Yule, mystery stitch along box. And I wanted to talk about it some more because I talked about it very briefly in my whip parade that I wasn't super impressed with the box as a whole. But what I wanted to say a little bit more is that threads are amazing. So this is not all of the threads that came with it. There were 12 threads, and this is obviously only 6 of them. This one in particular, I think it's spectacular. But yeah, the threads are really nice. And again, the pattern is really cute, just not for me. And I ordered this in August. And in between August and this coming, I'd already made the decision that I wasn't going to stitch anything mystery because I have very particular feelings about things, and mystery things, you just don't know what you're getting, right? So some of Michelle Bendy's patterns, if they were presented to me as a mystery, I'd be like, oh my god, that's incredible. And this one just was not to my taste. But there are some things on it that I will probably stitch as little smalls. Like there is a squirrel in a dress, which is really cute, and there are some other animals in outfits that I may well stitch as like little tiny pieces to go in my stitch journal. So just to make the most of the fact that I have the pattern, I have the box. But yeah, the overall whole thing is just not something that I would stitch in general. What I am excited about, and if you saw Michelle's video a few weeks ago now, she showed a Halloween mystery stitch along, a haunted house that she did for another box, and that will be coming out hopefully in Halloween this year, and it is incredible. So that when that appears, that will definitely be on my to stitch list. I think it's amazing. The other thing about the box was that it was, so every other day you got a bit of the pattern and a bit of thread, and then the other day you got something else. Some things were really nice. There was a needle minder, which I have down here. There was a little project bag. There was some scissors, but I've lost them. There were some finishing bits. There was a bit of like rick-rack, the wavy one, which the dog tried to steal, and I've managed to save it from him. And there was this, where's it gone? This corner gauge, which I'm really, really happy they included, actually. I've been thinking about getting one of these, and it's so great. So yeah, some of the things were amazing. Some of them were a bit like obviously filler. Like there was some popcorn, there was some sweets, there was like a drinks cozy, and like this is all cute, but it's not relevant. There was a pop case for your phone, which, I mean, if you haven't got a pop socket, where have you been? Where have you been? They're so great. If you have small hands and you struggle to hold your phone, get a pop socket, because it's so good. Like, I have really, really small hands. Like, if you can see in comparison to my phone, they're like as long as my phone. Yeah, I have really, really tiny hands. So actually being able to solidly hold my phone without having to like put my fingers all the way around it. Yeah, if you haven't got one, where have you been? Anyway, rant about pop sockets over. Or now you can get little like ring things that go on the back. I don't like those as much. Or like straps that you strap your whole hand into. It's just great. And if you're taking photos, having this means you can hold your phone at random angles and like over things without necessarily worrying that you're going to drop it. Like, you're not as unstable. It's great. I am now done. I have stopped. Pop socket rant is over. Apologies if you're slightly distracted by being able to see Pally eating his breakfast down there in the corner. He's so cute. So overall, thought the threads were fantastic quality. The fabric was great, and I'm stitching something else on it. Some of these bits were really useful, and I'm really, really thrilled to have them. But other bits were a bit like, oh, that's clearly just something that's like to fill a day because you need to fill a day. And I'll be honestly, like, I would rather they put out fewer days and left out the filler than put it in. I guess that's like kind of personal, isn't it? But that's how I feel. But yeah, so next year, no mystery stitch along boxes. What I might get is, like, for example, a 12 days of quilting box where you just get fat quarters, because I can always use fat quarters. Or if it's like a 12 days of thread or 12 days of fabric, like I got from Embroidery Designs, I got 4 weeks worth of fabric. I will always be able to find a use for that. So that's where I'm at with that, and with mystery patterns in general. It's not something that's good. It's not good for me to join, because I can't guarantee that I'm going to love it. So yeah, that's the elbow box. Please don't eat that. Please don't eat it. What else have I been doing? So let's mix it up. Let's start with a cross stitch, and then we'll move on. So I joined Whipgo this year. So works in progress go. Like it's a group run by Jessie Marie to try and help you get through your whips or start loads of kits or whatever your stitching goals are. It is to help you achieve them. And I have to say, January has been a roaring success for me with Whipgo. So here is Sea Dragon by Nadezhda Gavrilenkova. And And if you are stitching on any kind of dragon, feel free to tag on Instagram using the hashtag herebedragonssal tag to join the dragon stitch along. Oh, he's sad now. So my whip glow, this was number 2 for me on my whip glow board, and 2 and 19 were called in January, and I said I would do 2,000 stitches on this, and I have done 2,000 stitches, and it's looking great. I'm really, really pleased with it. This is on a Zweigart 32 count Azure Blue Merino, and yeah, there are only 5,000 stitches left up top, plus all of the back stitch. And if you can see the actual picture, which will probably be somewhere over here, or has been somewhere over here by this point, you'll be able to see that there's a heck of a lot of back stitch that goes into this once it's done. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the progress on this, and this is on my go board again for another 2,000 stitches, but hoping for a finish this year on this one. I'll put that out into the universe, and hopefully make myself do it. I am going to roll, so I stitch in hand. I stitch everything in hand. Anything you see that is cross-stitched by me, I have stitch in hand. Things for specialty stitches, everything, beads, all done in hand. It's much less strain on my hands, and I find it a lot faster because I'm stitching through 2 holes at the same time, pretty much every time. So yeah, the way that I store them is that I keep them in these little roll-ups, and when I'm ready to stitch, I just unroll to the point where I need, and go. And actually it works great. They don't get creased because they're not in hoops or frames. I don't find that I've got tensioning issues with my stitches. Stitching in hand was like a light bulb coming on when I found out about it, and I absolutely love it. Right. Some other things that I've worked on. So this is Dinosaur Forest by Owl Forest Embroidery. I do think I've worked on this since I last showed it you. Not since the Whip Parade, but since before the Whip Parade, I've definitely worked on it. So I'll show it very briefly. So there you go. There's Dinosaur Forest on Pillar Box Red. This is Phoenix Lugana by Picture This Plus. Again, the colour's never quite right when I show this, so slight close-up so you can see slightly better. I absolutely adore this piece. I'm really, really happy with it. Again, this is on my Whitgo board 2 times, and I separate them out. One of them is to stitch all of the dinosaurs, one of them is to stitch all the plants, and hopefully that means that this will also be a finish this year. We'll see how it goes. I think stitching all of the dinosaurs is a big stretch goal because there's one really, really big dinosaur, and the pattern will be up here. There's one really, really big dinosaur in the middle that I haven't got to yet. So yeah, we'll see, but it's worth stretching for, I think, because that's a present for my stepson, who has just turned 8, and like the window of opportunity for him liking dinosaurs is slowly closing. Unless he becomes an dinosaur expert in his later life. Let's chuck in a bit of quilting. So I joined the National Quilt Museum. So that's the US National Quilt Museum. The UK, I don't believe, has a National Quilt Museum. They do a year-long stitch-along block of the month thing. Sorry, something in my eye. It's called Block of the Month, where every month you make a block, then by the end of the year you have 12 blocks and you make a quilt. So I decided that I'd get a colour palette and make all 12 blocks in basically the same colour palette, so that they felt cohesive at the end of the year. But I am going to give it my best shot. So this is this month's block. It's called Ignite. It could really be any way up. Maybe this way is kind of how I designed it. It's 12.5 inches by 12.5 inches, and I'm really pleased with it. This is using a load of Kona solids in different yellowy greeny colours, and then this bright pink contrast pop. But yes, so we'll see what next month's block will be. It'll come out on February 1st, so got a bit of time. But yeah, I found that very, very, very satisfying to do. And I also made, so if you have watched anything from Just Get It Done Quilts, who I have to say, I adore her content, she makes blocks with all of her scraps that then go into the back of the quilt, so you don't need to spend so much like money buying fabric to make a quilt back, and it uses up all your scraps, so you don't have like huge numbers of scraps lying around, which I honestly think I would be incredibly prone to. Like, I'd be very, very prone to having huge piles of scraps that I would never get to. So I really like the idea of just using them all up and popping them into the back where you have them. So this is the improv block that I made with all my remnant strips and contrast pieces. And I have to say, I not that I like this more than the original one, but I do. Something about this really speaks to me. So yeah, really, really pleased with that. It's a chance to try out my improv piecing as well and practice those skills. So that's the plan for this year. So we'll make all the blocks, and also any scraps will go into after blocks. And then at the end of the year, we'll make the full quilt and the after quilt to the back to go on. But yeah, really, really happy with that so far. I'm just waiting for the next month's block to come out so I can keep going. Right. Then I worked on some of the things that I haven't worked on in a very long time. So I had a really satisfying 2 days working on Peaceful Street by Andriana. There'll be a finished picture up here now. So here it is. And you can see I decided that the best way for me to stitch this was going to be to basically complete as I go. So that bit of house is fully completed, and all it needs now is a roof, and the red house is done. And then I'll move on and I'll start the blue house and I'll work my way up the blue house. But it's so satisfying. I never stitch like this, and it's so satisfying. It does mean a lot of like changing colours in the needle. It's probably slower, but to be honest, it means that I make fewer mistakes, which with a paper pattern I'm more prone to. And I really, really love it. So yeah, there are 3 houses on this side, then there's a little park in the middle, and then it goes into the next 2 houses. But yeah, just a little bit of time on this every so often, and it will slowly move along. This is on a Embroidery Designs fabric. It's called Pixie Potion, and I got it on merino, so it didn't take to the dye as much, but I actually really like that because it's supposed to look like sky. But it just had slightly more movement in it than the Ada that came with the kit. Also, I prefer linen to Ada. I think the finished, for most things that I stitch, the finished piece looks better on linen than Ada. Just because it's the fabric looks more whole with a W, and not quite so holy. But I'm not against Ada, and I think Ada's fantastic when you're starting out and you're not as confident. So yeah, these are my thoughts. I also put some work into my twisted band sampler. Not enough. Not enough yet. But if I keep unravelling this for ages because it's so bloomin' long. So these bands were already done. I had done the orange band of specialty stitches here. And what I'm doing now is working my way down that yellow band of specialty stitches. That's not pulling in as well as it could. No, maybe. So you can see it doesn't quite replicate the row above yet. So I still got this box to do, and I've started on the rays. I think I started on the rays. No, I didn't start on the rays. So I've got the triangles in here and the boxes to do, so it matches that side. But if I can do that in January, which I can, that completes my goal, which was to finish a band every month. So yeah, that's the aim, is to just get those last few specialty stitches in. Last few, it's so long and it takes so long. And then in February I'll start on the next cross stitch band, which goes in between. But yeah, I do adore this piece. I'm really glad that I kind of kicked myself back into action with it. Yeah, it is good. I'm sorry, this one takes a long time to roll up because it's just so long. There we go. We're all done. Go now. Let's do another quilty bit. So, it's another yearly challenge, because why not fill up your year with yearly challenges? Pardon me. And this one is run by Naomi Alice. And if you look for her on Instagram, her name has a C at the end, Naomi Alice C. And she is doing a year of focus cutting for paper piecing, English paper piecing, so where the pieces stick to the back of the fabric and you hand sew them, as opposed to foundation paper piecing, which is an entirely different technique that I haven't got to yet. So, so what you make is basically, you make lots of little diamonds, and then you sew them all to sit around each other. And you can see actually that this is some scrap fabric from the quilt, but I had so little of it that I thought actually I could just make some English paper pieces out of it to make this little diamond and put it into this quilt rather than hanging on to the scrap. In my effort, you hear me making an effort to not hang on to scraps here. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how these little bits have come out. Got little houses on them. So yeah, that will be one. So let's go back a step. Week 1 was identifiable motifs. So cutting an identifiable motif in each kite shape. So you can see I got seagulls, and they make a sort of little thing of seagulls. And then in this one, there are lots of like little animals having fights, which I think is really cute. There's a little fencing bunny down here. So yeah, so those are my 2 for the first week. And what I'm doing is, once I've made them, so here's my one for the second week. So the second week was obscure motifs. So when you have something in your fabric that like you've cut around other bits and you have like a little bit left, and focus, come on, I'm over here. Woo. When you have a little bit left, but you need you still want it to look nice, the idea is that you practice specifically cutting obscure motifs so that when you have those bits, you can then use them later. Because focus cutting can really not use fabric particularly well necessarily, so it's good to have a technique where you can use the other bits that you cut around. So this fabric is actually a raccoon. Have it here. So it's a whole load of raccoons. They're super cute. I really want to do one which is just the specifically the raccoon, because as you can see, I have specifically cut here the raccoon tail to make this little sort of it's not an infinity shape, but you know what I mean, like loopy design, and I really, really love it. So at the moment, this one is unfinished, so it still has the paper pieces in. So I glue my paper pieces down, so they're all glued in here. The seams come up. It's not difficult to remove them. And then what I'm doing is, so that at the end of the year I don't have loads of these that I need to join or don't have anything to do with, I'm actually quilting. It's called Quilt as you go, where you add the batting and the backing as you go. So I'm cutting little hexagons of batting. So the like fill that goes inside quilts is called batting, and I'm stitching that to each hexagon with a backing of this black fabric. So this black fabric has dots and then very occasionally has these scarabs, which I thought was really cute. So that is the plan. So over the year, it will be a quilt, and when I'm done, it will just be done. It won't need to be backed and then quilted. It's already done. So these two are already finished. This could be a little, I don't know, needle book, I guess, all on its own. But I'm going to keep adding to it. So this one will go here. And you can see it just grows and grows and grows. So yeah, really, really pleased with how that's coming along. And I've been really enjoying the challenge of having specific tasks within English paper piecing, because often you just do what you know, and you keep doing what you know forever. And it's really nice to A, see a lot of other people who are doing focus cutting, so you can see how they do it, and B, have challenges to try different techniques of focus cutting so you can expand your skills, and it's really valuable. I really, really enjoy it. So let's pick up another bit of cross stitch. Ooh, this is a massive piece of fabric with a really small start. Not a small start, but like it's a small piece. So this fabric is Heroic by Pictures Plus. You can see it's like, what's this colour called? Beige. It took a long time. And the idea is that over the course of the year, I'll stitch the entire Snowflower Diaries Joyful World stitch along on this. So I've made a start with January. I adore it. So if I hold it a little bit closer, it won't focus, but you can see it's a fox and a raven, and then there are these flowery motifs, and the grass is all islets. And so all I have left to do on this one is there is another like leafy motif up here. There are 2 white snowflakes here, and I've got 3 more islets to do, and just to finish off the border, and then January is done. So that's definitely achievable. I've got the 21st when I'm recording this, so I've got 10 days left to do like one evening of stitching to finish this. And then I will pull into February, and February is 2 ducks having a fun time. And this is mostly my own conversion. In fact, it's entirely my own conversion. And I have it here in a little bendy flip, I think they're called, from Bags Plus with a Z, Bags Z Plus on Etsy, who is a UK person who creates this, and they're great. So they have a little felt bit here and vinyl where your floss goes in, and then at the back you have a bigger pocket for other things. This is some William Morris fabric. It's the Strawberry Thief. It's very cute. Anyway, so what I have pulled is a load of classic colourworks. So I've got Belton Fir. There's the one around. Bean Sprout. Love Bean Sprout. It's so good. This is Black Coffee, and this one is Almost Auburn. And then I pulled 2 Alforest threads from the Kingfishers that I finished. So there's just this cream here, and then the orange here for the fox. And I love how it turned out on this piece. And what I'll do is I'll keep pulling from it's Chart and Gentle Arts, but I'll keep pulling from my classic colourworks threads because I need to use them on something. So there it is. You can see the variegation in the Alforest came through beautifully on this fox. I'm really, really pleased with how that turned out. And yeah, I'm really, really pleased with this. And the idea is that they won't, so that although I'm doing them all on the same piece of fabric, which is just a really big piece of fabric, I won't finish it as like one massive, one massive framed piece. That'd be awful. It'd be so big. So no, it wouldn't, I mean, it would be horrible. Like if that fits in your house, that fits in your house, but there's no way that would fit in my house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish each one. Once I'm done, I'll cut them all out, finish them all individually as flat folds, so that every month I can swap them. So like I'll have the January flat fold out in January. I could finish them as I go, but I kind of want to have a coherent backing fabric, and I worry that if I finish them now, if I start finishing them now, I won't buy enough fabric, and then I won't be able to get it, whatever I choose, when I get to that point. So I'd rather just wait, do it all in one go. Sorry, my throat is really dry, so I'm like a bit croaky. Then, very, very tiny update on this. I did get Peaceful. This is not Peaceful Street. This is Quiet Town. I have a Quiet Town and Peaceful Street. Really trying to get peace in my life. So I put a tiny bit of stitching into this. I mean, it was really small, but I enjoyed it. And what I have started doing is, rather than doing cross country all across the whole thing, I have started taking whatever symbol comes next here, finishing it down as far as I can go without guessing where the stitch is, because counting for me often turns into guessing. And then just ending the thread, being content, moving on to a different colour. And I think that's how I'm going to stitch this. So I'll keep going down, then I'll start going across and down, and I'll finish it sort of one bit at a time as much as possible, so that it's not like you're not guessing where stitches are, you're basing them on what came before, which works a lot better for me than counting. I get distracted when I'm counting, and it's not, I can't count for long stretches. I really, really admire the people who they get out a full coverage piece and they've done like one colour across the entire thing. And you think like, how did you count 45 stitches across the piece? I just can't. My brain doesn't work like that. But I am slowly getting back into this. It will be a slow, long process. I'm prepared for it to be a slow, long process. And I'm going to love the hell out of it when it's done. That is a Heaven and Earth Designs piece. I can't remember who it's. Leonid Afremov is the designer of the original painting is Leonid Afremov. And then the chart was done by Heaven and Earth Designs. And this is the mini, so it's still 75,000 stitches, but it's a mini. And I was like, do I love the amount of detail in it? But actually, for an abstract piece, I think they've done a really good job, even on this really small scale. I think it looks great. So, yeah, when I stitch really close to it, I'm like, I can see like the pixels. I don't like it. And then as soon as I hold it further back, I'm like, I can start to see the whole picture. So, yeah, I just need to bear that in mind when I'm doing it. And I'm stitching this on a 20 count natural linen, 1/1 on a 20 count, which works really well for my eyes. It's basically like stitching on 20 count Ada, which probably would have been easier, to be honest. Never mind. We made the choices we made. This is my second whip glow piece for January. This was number 19 for me, and this is Dark Queen of the Seas. And my challenge for Dark Queen of the Seas was 7 days stitching on her, which I've done. In fact, I've done 8. And to stitch skin. And so I started from down here. Like I'd only stitched up to here. None of this hand. And 8 days of stitching, the entire top half of her has appeared, including some of her hair. And I made the choice about her hair colour, which I love this teal. And I changed her eyes to be a sparkly petite treasure braid. And there will be some more definition on the face from back stitching, so it won't be just that. Like at the moment, it looks a bit, it definitely needs some back stitch, but it will have. And I chose the second face, so there's a rounder face, and then there's more like, I would say alien looking face. And this is the more kind of alienish looking face. So what happens next is, depending on how long I keep stitching on her, all her hair comes down here and then like out the other side. So there's a lot of hair to go. And then my next whip go goal for her, when she will next come out probably, is to start stitching tentacles, because, oh boy, if you've seen this project from anyone else, you know there's a lot of tentacle. And you'll have seen the picture. And I must finish this fish. There's a whole fish missing here that I just... By the time I'd finished stitching these other 2 fish, and I know they look small, but they're friggin' massive, I was like, I can't stitch another fish. So I moved on to her, and she's addictive. She looks so good. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with how that's turning out. What I need to do is either get the bead pack from Under the Sea Fabrics, or start acquiring the beads for her, so that when I get to that point, I can just do it. I'm more tempted to just buy the beads separately than to order the bead pack, because USA shipping is ridiculous. Shipping from the USA to the UK is ridiculous. And this fabric, which I think we can all agree is stunning, this is Iolite from Chromatic Alchemy. Sam is a UK-based hand dyer. Sam does incredible fabrics. Iolite is particularly spectacular, I think. And it works really well for this piece. And I got the 32 count linen version, which is more flimsy than a merino, but I'm still enjoying it. It took me a while to get into it, but now that I'm used to it, I'm like, I adore it. So yeah, she can go away for a bit. And I did slightly my own conversion on the hair. So that they offer a load of different hair colours, but I didn't have one of the threads. So then I just pulled what I had in my stash. These are all of the hair colours. And also the teal hair, the darkest shade they'd pulled was 939, which is navy. And I thought actually the darkest green, I got my shade card out. I got my shade card out and started comparing different shades. So the darkest green is 500, which I have. And I thought actually, her hair's green, not blue. So I'm going to put the darkest green in. I guess maybe it was like a consideration for not buying too many threads for one project, but anyway, that I prefer it. And then I just pulled what I had. I didn't have the lightest colour, so I pulled what I had, and then I made the gradient to go with it. So yeah, very pleased with how that's going. I don't usually keep my floss in these. Usually it stays in my DMC boxes, but when I'm working on one project and I need like 6 threads, it is more convenient to keep them in these so they're not all over my desk, and just to have them out rather than like going into my box every time for every single thread. So I'm finding them quite useful as like a sort of management tool, and the same for this one with my Joyful World Sal, which is a freebie by the way, so if you like it, it's totally free if you go to the Snowflower Diaries website. And they're gorgeous. I mean, even if you just wanted the animals and didn't want to stitch the words, just having the animals is really cute. They'd make amazing cards, and they'd be really quick to stitch. So yeah, for my for the Joyful World one, as I add more colours, I'll just add them into here because I'm pulling them from my fancy floss stash, so they're not in use as anything else. And I'm bobbinating as I go because I've decided that is the way forward for me, rather than keeping them long. I can't use them like that. So yeah, I will add colours as I go. Some of the colours will stay the same because they're in the colour palette for other things. And yeah, I'll just keep adding to this. So yeah, very pleased with how all of that is working. In fact, maybe this might be just the right purple for the ducks. It looks really blue on screen, but it's quite purple. It might be the duck has purple in it. Anyway, we'll leave that where it is. Let's do some more quilty bits. I only have one more quilty bit, so then we're done. So I showed you the heads for these a few weeks ago, but I have now finished the entire block for the cockatoos, and I'm really, really happy with how they've turned out. So let me show you. Yay! So here's Mr. Pink and Mr. Yellow. I don't actually know whether only male cockatoos have the fancy plumage and what female cockatoos look like, so I'm going to assume that these are all male for now. This Mr. Yellow. This does not come through right on camera. It's like bright green, like it's got a lot more yellow in it than that, and it's brighter. It's not the right colour. It's not the colour it is. Turquoise, which again, the green in here is washing out a lot, so you're losing a bit of the sort of the main colour. Blue, darker blue, and purple. And I think they came out so beautifully. I haven't cut the fabric for the next block yet, which I think is going to be the toucan one, just because it's the next one that's in my the next. I have all the fabrics like slightly pre-cut into big chunks, and they're all in Ziploc bags marked which bird they're for. And I think the toucan is the next one that's like lying on top. So let me just get the thread. I think that will probably be the next one I do, but I haven't yet gained the momentum to cut all the fabrics. And as you can see, I've been doing lots of other different bits of quilting. So hopefully all the skills that I learned from doing these things and doing the blocks of the month will transfer into my bird's quilt as well. I'm absolutely covered in thread now. This is my life now. I just live covered in thread. I need one of those rolly things. The dog doesn't shed, just all my projects shed. And then this one, which is my Modern Folk Embroidery 2018 Stitch Along, which is the 4 Seasons one. And I have made some really good progress on this. So I had done all of the top last time I showed it to you, and I have worked all the way down here. I'm a few days behind on my daily stitching, but I'm not worried because I'm really enjoying it. So I have been stitching this, you can probably see the sparkle there. I have been stitching this one stitch at a time to get the full variation, and I'm starting to think that maybe for the borders, these very long borders at least, I will not do that. I will do long back, which won't give me quite the same variegation, but on the other hand, like the amount of time that it's taking to do one stitch at a time, I'm not sure it's worth it for the outside. I'm in two minds about that. I absolutely love the variegation that's coming through, and I really love the tone on tone. I know it's not the most obvious project because it is completely tone on tone. This is a Silks for You thread. I'm not sure which PR number it is, but if you were really curious, I can look it up for you. Yeah, I absolutely love how it's coming along. I think I will continue with the one by one stitching to get the most variegation out of the silk, because otherwise what's the point? And yeah, I adore it. And this motif that came through down here is so cute. And next up I get into like the birds and things in the winter section. So very, very happy with how it's coming along. This is a Embroidery Designs fabric, and you can really see the sparkle. It's an opal merino 32 count on Christmas night sky. And I got such a big piece of it, and I got it on the cheap because it had some dye spots on it. So it's got some tiny bits of red on it, and you can't see them. If anyone looks at that and is like, is there a tiny bit of red on that? And hasn't looked at the rest of the stitching, I'm going to be so peeved. Never mind. I'm very happy with it. I don't think the red's very obvious. Oh dear, sorry. The tiniest bit of haul. So, I'm trying really hard not to acquire this year. I have acquired a few things, but they're to start projects that I already have, or that I've been kind of thinking about for a very long time, because I have so many patterns that I already own that I'm trying really hard not to acquire more until I've stitched more. Until I finish off a few things and start a few more things, and the rotation feels like it's moving again, because at the moment I just feel like I'm acquiring. I'm not getting through things fast enough because all the things I like are enormous. So, hang on. Show the pattern first. I've been thinking about having this for a very long time. So since like summer last year. And I finally bought the pattern. So for Enchanted Abyss, I think she's incredible. Bella Filipina design. I love how much movement there are in Bella Filipina designs. If you compare these to Mirabilia's, which is the easiest comparison because they're kind of fancy ladies. If you look at Mirabilia's, they tend to be quite like static, like they're seated, they have their hands in front of them, or their hands are like statically posed. This has so much energy in it. And I'm not saying that all Bella Filipina designs have this much energy, but this one I think is really spectacular. And the other one I've got is the twisted Temptress of the Cursed Seas, which similarly, although it's incredibly similar to Dark Queen of the Seas, so maybe I shouldn't have acquired that one. But I really want to support that design because they put in multiple different skin colours, so I really want to support that specific one. Again, it has a lot of movement in it, and I really, really admire that about, I think it's Drin, who creates the Bella Filipina patterns. I really admire that about the way that they chart these patterns. I think it's spectacular. So yes, this is going to happen this year. This is at least going to get started this year. And I kitted up Karen water lilies for it. Very exciting. And then I kitted up, so when I started working on Dancer by Mirabilia, I bought a full kit for that, and the kit came with Krynic in it. And I was like, well, let's give it a go, see how it is. If I hate it, I hate it. If I don't hate it, I don't hate it. I didn't hate it. It's less easy to thread needles with. I specifically got a needle threader to thread the Krynic needles, and I need a bigger needle. I think I need a 24. I usually stitch with a 28. I have some 26s, and I need a 24 for the Krynic. But anyway, there are some Krynics in Enchanted of the Abyss and Temptress of the Cursed Seas that are basically not replicated in Petite Treasure Braid. If they were, I would have bought the Petite Treasure Braid. But this is like a green with gold. This one is like a purple and pink combination. This one is like a greeny, icy bluey colour. And this one is gunmetal. And you can probably find something similar to this in Petite Treasure Braid, but I've looked before and not been like super enthused about the options. So I thought, given that I don't hate them, I could work with them, and then I'll have them, just the specific ones where they're very hard to replicate. If it's like, what you need is a metallic gold, I'm using my Petite Treasure Braid. There's no way that I would choose this over Petite Treasure Braid for a really common colour. Like, I also have, so I keep my Petite Treasure Braid in this box that I got from Morocco. And you can see, there's quite a stack. So, if I pull all my cards out, you can see, like, I already have a huge amount of Petite Treasure Braid to choose from. So I don't need huge amounts of Cryonic necessarily to replicate all of those colours. It also means that, like, when I want to like put in Petite Treasure Braid for this, the eyes of the Dark Queen of the Seas, I can just pull loads of different colours and see what I think. This would have been nice as well, actually, but I used what I used. So the only other thing that I bought, which is online, so I have a PDF version of it, and I'll get Chris to put in the picture of it, is the Rosina Diaries 1820 sampler, charted by Works by ABC. And if you exist on the internet in a cross-stitching community, you've probably seen this already because it's been really big over the last few days. But the reason for that is really important, which is that it is a reproduction sampler based on a sampler that was stitched by a girl who went to the African Free School, I believe. And it's really rare, nigh on unheard of, to have samplers stitched by young black women. Certainly from that time period. I mean, 1820. If you know your history, you know what was happening in 1820 to black people. It wasn't great. And it's really important that we don't just tell stories of the children of white families from that time, but we also try and bring forward the stories of black people from that time. And this is an opportunity for people who normally stitch samplers and people who don't stitch samplers to be part of that. And I think that's really important. I do quite a lot of work in my stitching to bring representation to it with skin tones. And I think also it's really important to support designers who are also upholding those kind of values, the same values as you. So I really want to support the designer. I don't usually stitch samplers, but I thought this one would be the one to do. If you're going to do one, do this one. So you can find it on her Etsy. Her shop is called Works by ABC. And there's a PDF version and a paper version, depending on your preference. So I went for PDF because that is my undying love is for PDF patterns that I can put into Pattern Keeper. But if you love paper patterns, then it's there and it's available to you. And I just think it's really, as much as we can do to support bringing those stories to the front, and making sure that people know that we want to hear those stories and we want people to be involved in making those stories come to life, is really important. I think, so I spoke over the summer about the fact that Nora Corbett wasn't charting skin colours other than mine, basically, like very, very pale white skin colours. And it's a small step, but I mentioned as part of that the Zodiac Girls series, there were 12 options, there were 12 potential points, and by that point, not a single one had come out that was a different skin colour other than mine. And like, you don't know how those influences happen. Like, I'm not suggesting that Nora Corbett watch my video, but in that series, there are now two that have darker skin tones, which I believe is Aquarius and maybe Pisces. I'm not sure. It's another one around that same time. And like, that is a big step forward from Ophelia. It's late. It's a small gesture. I'm not sure if she's put out any other patterns since that have been with a darker skin tone. However, it's a step in the right direction, right? My birth month is Aquarius, but I don't feel drawn to those patterns. The whole Zodiac Girls series doesn't excite me, so I haven't stitched them. But I just, like, the more that we as a society, as a community, ask for these kind of things, support designers who are doing these kind of things, the more that they will happen, because other designers see Bella Filipina putting multiple different skin colours on their pattern. It doesn't go unnoticed. And doesn't go unnoticed by us either. So yeah, I'm still waiting for someone to design a pattern with a gender fluid person or a trans person in it. I can see, I can make my own interpretations. Like, I think Tempest of the Cursed Seas looks quite trans, but I would love someone to put out an explicitly trans design. That would be great. And I'd love to see some more designs that aren't just like pride flags or quotes that are aimed at the LGBT community. And like, it's fine. I'm happy to stitch pride flags. I'm happy to stitch quotes, but it's not what I love stitching. What I love stitching are big pieces that look like this, and I'd love to see more representation in designs like this. And honestly, if I could draw, I would design one for you, but I can't do that, so it doesn't exist yet. Also, more people with short hair would be nice, just a couple. So anyway, rant over. I do think movement is happening in the right direction. Slow movement over time, but movement is movement, right? And yeah, so we'll see what happens. We're all watching. We're all keeping an eye on it. But yeah, if you design fancy ladies or fancy people, I know Bella Filipina did do a Triton, which is really cool. So it's a man. If you design patterns like this and you feel like stitching one that is explicitly trans, that would be really, really cool. Really, really cool. Anyway, I think that is everything that I have to say for now. I will be back in 2 weeks' time, hopefully, with another update. And yeah, it's been really lovely to see you all. If you're here and you're not already subscribed, subscribe so you see when I'm next post. And I really appreciate your support. You can also find me on Instagram. I've been playing around on Instagram more with like reels and what I take pictures of. So some of the content that's over there is slightly different to what's on here. So yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at emma.rose.makes, and you can follow me there too. But yes, it's been really lovely spending some time with you, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.